If you want a taste of Europe this winter, mulled wine is the way to go. And it's so easy too. The UK in a while, so I was very excited to start making some mulled wine. I actually get excited every year around October because it gets to mulled wine season. I love it so much. And it's actually really easy to make at home. To be honest, in Japan it's a lot easier to make by myself than to go out hunting for it. So if it is that easy, let's take a look at how to make it. So for our ingredients, first up we've got the wine. But honestly, we're putting so many other spices and sweeteners into this that it doesn't really matter what kind of red wine that you choose. So I kind of usually go for a lower range red wine. But the reason that I've chosen this one is because it describes itself as fruity and spicy, which I'm hoping will go well with our fruit and spices. Then I add a bit of brandy as well. To me, brandy is just so Christmassy that I just have to add it. But you don't have to add this, you can just omit it if you want to. The spices that we're going to use are cinnamon, star anise, and cloves. If you don't have star anise or cloves, then I do find those as optional, but I do think that cinnamon is vital for mulled wine. The cinnamon is very sweet, whereas the star anise and the cloves are a little bit bitter and are going to bring some of that hotness. I do think that the cloves do add to that Christmassy vibe, so if you can find them, that is a great addition. Also, the star anise are quite pretty and they add just like a little bit of texture, a little bit of something extra to the mulled wine. And then we have our sweeteners, and we're just going to be using orange and sugar. This is a pretty massive orange, and I don't always use the entire orange. I usually take off the top and the bottom because they're mostly just peel and pith and not really any orange flesh. So that means that they are quite bitter. If you want an extra sweet mulled wine, then you can take off the peel and pith entirely because they are quite bitter. But I find that they look a bit nicer, so I do usually just leave on the peel. And then for the sweetener, I'm just using white sugar. I don't really find that it makes too much difference depending on whether you use white sugar or brown sugar or honey, but that's totally up to you. I do like my mulled wine on the sweeter and milder side, so I do put in a lot of sugar, but you can definitely dial back the sugar to your own taste. But mulled wine really is so easy. All you have to do is chop up that orange and then put everything together in a pot. So I'll see you when we turn on that heat. So now we've put everything together, we're just going to turn on this heat to a pretty low heat. Not quite as low as possible, but very low indeed. And we just want to slowly bring that wine up to a bare simmer. We don't want to let this bubble too much because then the alcohol will boil off and then you'll just have a kind of fancy grape juice. So if you actually want to get a little bit tipsy on this, then you don't want it to bubble too much. So once it's bubbling a little bit like this, and it's just bubbling every now and then with little bubbles, maybe the occasional big bubble, then turn it straight back down to as low as possible and just let it simmer. You can let it simmer from anywhere between 15 minutes to 3 hours. Honestly, I love mulled wine so much that I'm usually quite impatient, so I only really simmer it for about 20 minutes. And that's all there is to it, so I'm really excited, so let's serve this up. Not to toot my own horn, but the best mulled wine that I've ever had is the one that I've made at home. You can adjust the sweetness to exactly what you want, and it's just warming and cozy. Now it's time to get a little bit merry. See you when I've sobered up next Sunday.